my God, Becky, look at
that phone.
Wow.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are all healthy and safe. So in spring of 2020, we got the OnePlus 8 Pro, Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro, Oppo Find X2 Pro, and the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. And when I reviewed all four phones, I basically couldn't decide a winner between those four because all four were very good. I just couldn't decide. They were all really good. And for the OnePlus 8 Pro in particular, I wrote for Forbes the headline that I think slab smartphones are in its apex form, meaning I don't think slab smartphones can get any better, because if you think about it, smartphones can't get any more bezel-less than what you already get right now. And as for screen refresh rate, I think 120 Hertz, it's probably already fast enough. I mean, 144 is nice, but you don't really need it. 120 is already as fast as the human eyes can see. And as for processor power, the Snapdragon 865 is already super fast too. I mean, honestly, you just go on Instagram, watching YouTube, do you need anything more powerful than a Snapdragon 865? And likewise, the camera. Every smartphone camera now, even the budget $200 ones from Redmi or Realme, can do a really good job during the day. Like if you're taking a picture of on a sunny day, like outside, like right here, it's gonna be a good shot whether you're using a $1,500 phone or a $300 phone. So really, the only area that smartphones in the slab form can still improve is maybe by improving really low light photography and increasing zoom, like what Huawei P40 Pro Plus did with the 10x loss of zoom. But these are very niche areas. Like most mainstream users, they don't really need to do like 20x zoom or shooting pictures in pitch black conditions. So my point is, I think slab smartphones, this is the OnePlus 8 here, it's already in its absolute best form. I mean, whatever improvements it makes in 2021, it's going to be minor. And to be honest, for phone reviewers like me, I'm starting to get a little bit bored of the slab smartphone. That's why I wrote then in spring 2020, I think we need new form factors. The foldable or two-screen phones, that's the way to go. That's the way to think outside the box and push the mobile industry forward. And little did I know we would get there so fast. In fall of 2020, 6 months later, we already have 4 devices. So we have the LG Wing. I recently reviewed this. You probably already know plenty about this. And of course, the Galaxy Z Fold 2, for sure you know about this phone too. And then we have the Royole FlexPai 2. Some of you guys may not have heard of this one, but I tested this too recently. It is a foldable, just like in the Huawei Mate XS style. So I made videos on all 3 of these already, but I haven't made a video on this 4th one. This is the Microsoft Duo. And it is a 2-screen device, just like the LG dual screen case that goes with the LG Velvet, except I like this design better because look at how thin it is, because it's one device instead of a snap-on case. So now between these 4 phones, we have completely, funky, wild, different form factors, stuff that differs from traditional slab smartphones. And man, maybe it's the phone geek in me, but I am excited as hell, man. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend time talking about these 2 Korean phones anymore because I already made multiple videos on these. Let's focus on these 2 phones, particularly the Duo, because I made a pretty in-depth video on this too. So this is the Royole FlexPai 2. It has a 7.8-inch OLED display that folds up like this, and then you can use it in smartphone form. And when you use it in smartphone form, you have a screen on both the front and the back. It is a little bit thick though. This is kind of like a chunky boy. So the Microsoft Duo has a really similar design, except look at how much thinner it is. But of course, the major difference is the Royole FlexPai 2, it's one screen. So that means when you're watching videos, you're showing an entire video uninterrupted on one large 7.8-inch display. This is basically a tablet. Particularly when you open up Instagram, I love browsing through Instagram on such a large screen, man. Everything just looks great. So on the Microsoft Duo, it's actually 2 separate screens. So you have a hinge right here, but it is a smaller hinge than on what you see on the LG Duo screen. So you are able to run 2 apps side by side too, like this. And it's actually pretty good for websites. Like I like reading articles like this. You get a lot more text. You can read it in landscape orientation or portrait orientation. So for text, I think it's pretty good. But of course, if you watch videos like this, then it looks a little bit goofy with a line running down the middle of the screen, right? But Microsoft didn't design this really for you to use both screens like that. Really, it's to use two apps side by side. So for example, I can have Instagram open while watching a YouTube video, or I have Chrome running while I have Twitter running. So if you're seeing that the UI is a little bit janky right now, that's one of the major flaws of this phone, which I will get to later. So I can have WhatsApp running here or Chrome running. So again, for someone who multitasks a lot, someone like me who works remotely and always has to answer like 50 work emails a day, talking to my colleagues on Slack, a phone like this is awesome for me. Just like the LG Wing. I said I wouldn't talk about it, but I like the LG Wing a lot too precisely because it allows me to run two apps at the same time. But of course, in the Microsoft Duo, you get a little bit more screen than the LG Wing, and it's a thinner, lighter form factor too. I'm not gonna do a real review of this phone because there are already 150 reviews out, but for the most part, this phone's not for the average consumer because Microsoft is selling this for $1,400. And for that price, you're getting just a Snapdragon 855, that's a 1-year-old SoC, 6 gigs of RAM, which is ridiculous in late 2020, and the worst smartphone camera I've ever tested. Like, I'm not exaggerating, this is the worst camera. And I haven't even talked about it. You basically only have one camera right here. It's an 11 megapixel camera. So when you're using the phone in like this in standard smartphone mode, you tap on the camera lens to open the camera, and it's a pretty mediocre camera. It blows out lights all the time, really mushy details. If you want to take selfies, then you have to flip the camera around, and the phone's accelerometer is supposed to tell when you flip it around and turn to selfie mode, but you see it's not doing so right here. You have to do it like very exaggeratedly to do it like this, then it will finally flip over and now we have a selfie camera right here. But to be honest, this camera sucks. I'm not exaggerating. You can buy a $200 Redmi Note 7S and it will take better photos than this thing. This thing costs $1,400. So we know the camera's terrible. 6 gigs of RAM is not enough, so sometimes when you're opening an app that you haven't opened in maybe 2 hours, it's gonna load a little bit slow. And the UI, as I mentioned, it's a little bit janky. So inconsistent swipe gestures. So when you're on this main phone mode, you swipe up to go home, which is, you know, how a lot of smartphones are right now. But then when you turn it into portrait orientation, you would think you're still swiping up, right? No, now you swipe from the sides to go home. So you see how complicated that is all of a sudden? And the swipe gestures doesn't always work, as you can see right here. Sometimes it just freezes and it takes like 10 swipes to get out of an app. It's really frustrating. But despite all of that, I still really like this phone. And to be honest, I'm considering buying it. So right now, this unit is on loan, not from Microsoft because they're not selling this in Hong Kong yet, but this is on loan from one of my friends. He runs probably the best gray market import stores in Hong Kong, Trinity Electronics. If you're interested in buying import phones at really good value, you should check it out. I'll have his address in the description below. But basically, this unit, it's on loan from him. I have to return it later today. And I'm thinking of just giving him money to say I want to buy it because I really like being able to run two apps side by side. Even if this phone is slow as hell, the UI frustrates me, and it's the worst smartphone camera I've tested maybe since like 2016. So I think it's really crazy, having said all that I'm actually willing to pay over $1,000 to buy this. But I think that's what gadget geeks do because I really like weird phones. Like, to be honest, this is the OnePlus 8. This phone, it's like 5 times better than this in terms of screen, SoC, and camera, UI, all of that. But I want to use this more than I use this because as a gadget geek, as a gadget enthusiast, I want something different. I want new form factors that lets me do more. I don't want to just have a faster UI or apps to launch a split second faster. How about letting me launch 2 apps at the same time, side by side, or in this weird swivel form factor? So anyway, that's about it for this video. This is not a review of the Microsoft Duo, but it's just a video talking about how much I love these weird phones. And I'm really surprised we got here so fast because in just March 2020, I was saying, man, I think we're at the apex of slab phones. We need something newer. And by October 2020, we're here. So anyway, that's it for this video. If you're interested in checking out content on the latest gadgets, I get them really fast because I live in Hong Kong and we're basically 1 hour away from all the stuff is made. So I'm gonna have my hands on the iPhone 12 pretty soon and the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. So both of these are, you know, major releases. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be among one of the first to get it. So if you're interested, please subscribe to my channel or follow me on Instagram at Ben's Gadget Review. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.
You other brothers can't deny.